Hi, Taz.
Hey Shauna, how are you?
I'm really good. I'm so happy you're here because I've got so much that I want to chat to you about. There's been so much going off at the moment. I just can't believe it. But I just wanted to talk to you just quickly at the start about D Day because that has been so moving over the last 24 hours, hasn't it?
Oh, unbelievably. I'll be completely honest. I cried yesterday. I cried this morning. But obviously, I'm going to be doing a video talking about it as well because we've seen quite a lot of the royals. But even just writing it and looking at the pictures and just listening to the speeches, it does make me cry. There really has been some fantastic tributes, but obviously with the royal family being there, their speeches have been really special. Did you see Queen Camilla? She was in tears as well, but she looked so beautiful, but she
Oh,
really
yeah.
set me off.
Oh, I know. And I just loved her outfit. I know it's really frivolous to talk about outfits on such an important occasion, but she just nailed it. I mean, she just looked so beautiful, didn't she, standing on that stage?
Yeah, she really does. I don't know whether she's changed her stylist, but I have noticed since she has become queen, she really seems to be upping it in the style stakes. I mean, obviously, she is a different generation to us. And I tell you what, I have been thinking, I want that hat, I want that coat, I want that dress. She really is knocking it
Yeah.
out of the park. But
Yeah.
yes, she has been looking great recently. And the king as well, he looks brilliant considering obviously still going through his own cancer journey. But his
Yeah.
speech was, oh, again, just, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. And also, I got really moved when they sang the national anthem at Portsmouth as well.
Oh,
It felt such a tribute because of the beautiful people that were there. They mean so much. I mean, we all have to be so grateful to all of them. And to
yeah.
have them sing the anthem, I could just see how moved King Charles was. It would have meant so much to him, I think.
Oh, I believe so as well. And it must still be so strange for him. And of course, the veterans singing, because obviously it was once God Save the Queen and now it's God Save the King. I'd imagine there's moments there where Charles does think of his mother, Queen Elizabeth, where, she was absolutely adored by the military. She was in the army herself in World War II. And I think there must be so many emotional memories being invoked for the king, remembering his mother, but obviously the magnitude of what D Day really means. And then, of course, listening to the stories over the last 48 hours, as I said, I have been sobbing my heart out. The stories
Yeah.
of the men and women that were there and the friends that they lost, and just
Yeah.
incredible,
And,
incredible.
and also, I was really moved by Prince William's speech as well. That was amazing. But just on a frivolous note, I really admired his walk onto the stage.
Oh, he is a
He
king.
looked good.
Actually,
He
I'm a bit
nailed it.
biased.
Yeah, and
It's actually,
everybody's standing up. He just has that sort of natural authority,
oh,
doesn't he?
he
It's
really
just
does.
wonderful. Yeah, so
He
that's
does. He's
good.
got, it's not swagger, it's not cockiness, but he
No,
just has an
no.
air about him. He is going to make a fantastic king. But I think the reason why people like him so much, myself especially, is because of his genuine compassion that he has for people, the way he meets people, the way he speaks to people.
Yeah,
On formal engagements, he's still laughing and joking. He wants to listen to people. And him reading out
yeah.
stories of people that were there on the day. I think the one that set me off the most, he read out a letter from a soldier that he had written home to his wife and his two babies. And
Oh,
I was in
yeah.
floods of tears, but I won't spoil
Yeah.
it for anyone. I do recommend
No,
anybody watch it.
yeah.
It was beautiful.
But it's true. What you say when he engages with people, he's obviously not looking for the camera. He's not doing it for show. He's just totally focused on the person that he's speaking to. And I think that's what distinguishes him between him and Harry or him and Meghan, because
Yeah.
they're always looking where the camera is or where the next shot is going to be, particularly Meghan, I must admit.
Yeah, Harry's changed so much, I think, over the years. I do think he has, or the palace definitely hid a lot of his bad behaviour. I think that's quite obvious. I think it's quite
Yeah,
clear that Harry has always been a bit self-absorbed, maybe. But I do
yeah.
believe before he was with Meghan, when he did give the speeches at events like this, when he did obviously go to the war memorials and everything that he's done with veterans, he used to, pre-Meghan, genuinely care. He did have a compassion about him. And I find his speeches now, he's parroting Meghan. When he speaks, it's miserable. None of it's very inspiring. And it's all this same Californian word salad that Meghan dribbles out. And I find Harry such a depressing man rather than once someone who was fun to watch, someone that you really used to enjoy watching him engage with others. Now, when he was at the Invictus Games, actually, before Meghan came, remember that she came a few days late, that I noticed the difference in Harry engaging with families, with children, with the veterans. Yes, he was still on camera, but he was more his old self. The moment she touched down, everything was about her, promoting her, making sure she had the microphone. Meghan was the one giving the medals. Meghan walked in front of him, and his mentality, I think Meghan is all about the camera, and Harry sadly has just become all about Meghan.
Yeah, I would love to do a sort of compilation of all the times that he's been talking to somebody and he's really been engaged in the conversation, and then the claws come out on the back. And and moves him on. I mean, if you put all that together over the last 5 years, I mean, it would be astounding. I think, if Harry got to see what happens, I mean, if I treated my husband like that, I think he would be gone. Like every time he tried to speak to somebody, if I was tap, 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 or come on, move along, or elbowing him out of the way.
The tugging, the tugging. I mean, the tap, tap, the gentle tap, because there has been times, for example, my husband bumped into a work colleague in town that was there with his wife, and he just started chatting. And then I was like, both the wives were. We were like, hello. And sometimes we just talk amongst ourselves, because the men are doing, workshop chats. So different to the behaviour that she does. It's so controlling, but it's so rude to the people that Harry's talking to. I mean, she literally tugs him and turns away from the people. I've said before in my videos, she's like sociopath. If she's not interested, the eyes glaze over like a shark and she's done. She's out of there. She doesn't care if people are still talking. And she tugs him. It's mortifying. But yes, I think maybe I should work on a bit of a compilation at some point, Shauna.
Yeah, that would be just brilliant. But it would probably take you years because there'd be so many examples. And she even turns her back on people when they're talking to her. They're still mid-sentence and she turns around.
Yeah, I know. It's truly
it's weird. Yeah.
One of the first ones I remember from the top of my head was when they were at, I think it was one of the Commonwealth services. No, it wasn't Commonwealth. It was when she was dressed creepily. Well, there's lots of these. I suppose this doesn't narrow it down. Like Diana, but she was wearing a big top white pillbox hat. She was wearing a Victoria Beckham dress that had chains on it. And it was very similar to a look that Diana once had. But Harry was talking to some of the performers that had performed throughout the service. And there was a band, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but there were four of them. There were 3 male band members and then the female singer. And the moment Harry was just about to start talking to the female singer, Meghan comes over. She doesn't even look at them. She grabs him and tugs and like, go on, and then starts going out the church. And you see Harry like, oh, and this girl just looks at Harry and goes, okay, bye. And it was so rude. I just cannot understand how anybody can behave like that so publicly. She really has got no idea of how bad her behaviour is. And this is the thing that always makes me laugh with people calling anybody that calls out their behaviour as trolling her. We're not trolling her. We are obviously talking about the fact that she is treating people so unbelievably rudely on camera. That's not making it up. We can see it with our own eyes. The same as we all heard the speech from the First Lady in Nigeria. Yeah. We'll make up our minds.
It's hard evidence. And we're supposed to deny what we're seeing and what we're hearing. It's crazy. You mentioned trolls. I cannot believe the activity at the moment. And I think it's like you said, it's a Nigeria thing and the fact that it hasn't really gone well. I mean, that's really sort of soured now. And also, I think they're just jealous of all the D-Day attention. Because even on my X feed today, I've been blocking. I can't keep up with it. And it's really bad. It's real abuse. All about the royal family, knocking William about his medals and, oh, gosh, goes on and on. But they all come out of the woodwork.
I mean, just briefly to talk about the medals, this makes me laugh. They're trashing Prince William for his medals. Harry has one medal for his tour in Afghanistan. It wasn't given to him because he did anything amazing. It's because he went. A participation medal that was given to lots of men and women that obviously toured in Afghanistan. I'm not taking that away from him. He was obviously there. But 3 other medals are gifted to him purely because his grandmother was the Queen, because of who he is, exactly the same as Prince William, apart from Prince William is obviously wearing his coronation medal from his father, whereas Harry refuses to wear it because he's petty. But Harry, his time talking about him serving in the army, and whilst he wears his medals with pride, he bragged about killing people. Prince William used his piloting experience and everything that he was taught when he trained within the army. He wasn't allowed to obviously go fight because he was the heir to the throne, but he used his training to save the lives of many people as an air ambulance pilot. So I think people bashing him for his medals in comparison to saying that, oh, he shouldn't wear them. The hypocrisy when it comes to the trolls is astounding.
That's right. And I also think that it's really insulting to all the veterans that may not have been on the front line, but they've served their country. I mean, there's more ways to serve your country than on the front line, which Prince William is an example of. So it's just insulting, isn't it? Sort of, it's the whole thing.
But you are right. The trolls are definitely activated. Whenever there's anything big that the royal family are doing, they will activate. A lot of them, I do believe, are bot farms, because you see countries, you see lots of accounts of countries where it's not, most of their tweets are not even in English. And then all of a sudden it's this coordinated campaign, people from all around the world, but the tweets are exactly the same word for word. So they are using bot farms. I think the royal family are heavily targeted. We are seeing a lot of activity starting up again of where's Kate nonsense, which infuriates me. I have been on the warpath myself, but you can't reason with stupid. And I did say that in my video I did last night. You cannot reason with these people. You cannot make them see logic or sense. The best thing that you can do is like what the royal family do with Harry and Meghan, and that is to completely ignore them.
Yes, you can't engage. That's what they want. We're above all that, aren't we?
We are, very much so.
Oh, yes. I was really excited, though, to hear that there was sort of rumours, it actually was reported in a newspaper, wasn't it, that Catherine might make an appearance on the balcony. And I nearly shared it on X, and then I stopped myself because I thought, no, hang on, I'm not going to add to the pressure. I don't want to add to the pressure. If she's better and she's ready, that's lovely. But if she isn't, well, I don't want to. You don't want to start something up. That's the thing now. Everything could start up into another pile-on.
Well, that's it. And I am beginning to notice certain media outlets. The New York Post was one today. I think maybe the Express. I'm seeing posts. No, it wasn't the Express. I take that back. It was Page 6. And they were saying that when Catherine returns, she may not return fully to her roles. And it's all this when and if. And it's like, you do not know that. Nobody still knows what surgery she's had, what cancer that she's fighting. Nobody knows what's happening with her treatment, whether the chemo's wiping the floor with her. Nobody knows. And by these actual newspapers or media outlets like the New York Post, which should know better, by them putting stories like that on social media, they are then encouraging the trolls. And I saw hundreds of tweets under these articles saying, oh, yes, well, they've buried her, they've done this, and the divorce is coming soon. And you are meant to be fairly responsible with your reporting. She's already told the world how many times, I'm having an operation, I need to recover with my family. I've got cancer, please let me recover at home. And they just do not. And the media and social media are definitely part of the problem.
Yeah, definitely. They're fueling
so angry.
it. Yeah, I know. How am I? Because it's so unfair and it's so cruel. And you wouldn't imagine that any other public figure they would pick on that was battling cancer. I mean, I know trolling happens all over the internet, but this is really, really full on, isn't it? Talking about being on X, I noticed that Andrew Loney actually retweeted an article about Prince Andrew getting the heave-ho from Royal Lodge again. I know that was all a thing a while ago and it all died down, but it seems to be gaining momentum again. What do you think? Do you think there's anything to that?
Oh, I absolutely think there's truth to it. At the end of the day, Andrew and Fergie, she lives with him. I wish those two would just get remarried or something. It's obvious it's going to happen one day. But the lodge is huge. It costs a lot of money to keep it running. You cannot have a household like that that's apparently in need of constant repairs, looking after. Andrew does not bring in any money anymore. Andrew, by all intents and purposes, he's been excommunicated from public life. Andrew now is dependent on the money that he gets from obviously the king, and obviously what his mother and his grandparents and what he's accumulated over the years. He cannot afford to run a house like that. And Charles cannot keep propping him up. He should downsize. Welcome to the world of the rest of us. If you cannot afford to run the home that you live in, you have to downsize. So I do think there's a bit where Andrew will be digging his heels in, because it's Andrew. He's well known for being, shall we say, somewhat stubborn, a bit arrogant. And it was his family home where his daughters grew up. But I'm sorry, he's just got to suck it up, really, because he's obviously, it's sad. It's sad in some ways. I say it's sad. I'll probably get grief for saying that about Andrew. It's sad because he's hanging on to the last thing that he had. Sorry, it's just got to go. There's everything that he created the drama that surrounds his life and why he's been treated the way he's been treated. He did that. And now it's just a case of he's got to downsize. He's got to take a step back from the role that he's in. He's not in a public facing role, and he's just got to live now as a lesser royal, really. He's a royal by blood, but he is not a senior working royal. He doesn't get those perks anymore. Suck it up,
I was really, suck it up. Yeah, I was really surprised to hear how much money for the security. There's like $3 million. King Charles is paying $3 million a year for security for him. And if he moved into Frogmore Cottage, evidently the security bill will go right down because it's within the confines of Windsor Castle. So, that security will, so it just makes sense, Andrew. You've just got to go, honey.
As I said,
all those teddies are going to have to find a new bedroom.
He's certainly not going to find any sympathy from the public over this one, is all I'm saying.
What did you think about Sarah in Cannes? Did you think she'd had a few wines?
I think there is some potential for that story to be accurate. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so tell me, Taz, tell me, if you had to make a speech like that and everybody was talking over the top of you like that, how would you quiet the room?
How would I quiet the room? Well,
because she went, stop.
Well, that. I'm getting secondhand cringe again. Hang on, let me loosen my jaw. That one's just. I don't know. I don't know what I do. Like I said, when you did the interview with me, I can film in my living room and I can meet people and I can chat till the cows come home, to the woman I've met on the bus that I've never met before. But you put me in any sort of social situation where I have to give a speech, I probably would clam up. But if I'd have been Fergie then, I would have just, because she'd had a skinful anyway, rather than going, stop. I would have just gone, all right, shut up. She might as well have done. It was just as embarrassing.
The more direct approach would have been better. Definitely.
Hello. That just looks strange. Bless her.
But it's funny.
Fergie.
It's funny because I've been going through her book on my channel, and all the same mistakes that she made way back in the 90s, early 90s, she seems to be sort of doing it again. And it's like, no, Fergs, learn from your mistakes, honey. Like, you've done all this before.
You can see why Prince Philip was like, he was the one that was behind having her banned of, I think they were too harsh because she was is the mother of Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice. And I think excluding her completely was kind of cruel. Family events and stuff should have been allowed. But you can see with Prince Philip, with his no nonsense attitude, he's like, the woman's a liability. And obviously Fergie is, well, let's rinse and repeat, shall we? But she is a colourful character. I wish her well, especially she's had her own cancer diagnosis. Well. But
it does make me wonder, though, if she's repeating all the same mistakes, it makes me wonder whether maybe she doesn't know how to be any different. Like, maybe that really is just her.
Oh, I think so. She's not fake. Yeah. That's the thing. She's not like very much with Meghan, who's got umpteen personalities, and she's got the fake grin, psychotic with the camera, and we know the way that she treats. We've just seen the difference. Fergie is consistent. This is just Fergie. She is like they say, like Marmite. You either love her or you hate her. That is it with Fergie.
Yeah, at least she's consistent. Yeah. Well, in the old days, they would say she was an eccentric.
Yes. Oh, she is eccentric, definitely.
Yeah. That's definitely what they would say. I wanted to ask you too, because I noticed that David Beckham had actually visited the King at Highgrove, and and I thought of you because they talked about beekeeping.
Well, I would say it's my favourite subject. Bees are my favourite subject. I've not I don't have a big enough garden to do it, but it's one day when we move on to greener and bigger pastures, I definitely want to do beekeeping. But yes, two of my favourite subjects. You've got David Beckham, who I love, and then you've got bees. But I thought it was absolutely brilliant. He's worked with the King for a number of years because David Beckham's been heavily involved with the Prince's Trust, and now he's been made ambassador of the King's Foundation. So it's all changed from the Prince's Trust to the Prince's Foundation to the King's Trust, King's Foundation. All gets a bit confusing, but he's now ambassador to that as well. Oh, I love it. They're such a character together, and David just seems to have such a relaxed, funny way about him. I mean, what's not to like about David Beckham?
And I think it was just really fitting that the King actually met with David Beckham around the time when Harry wanted to meet up with him again when for the Invictus Games. I just thought, oh, take that.
Yeah, the thing is, I think Harry destroyed that friendship with David Beckham a long time ago when he allowed Meghan to accuse Victoria of selling stories on her. That damaged it, and what finally I think broke that friendship apart was when Meghan, they'd gone to the wedding, and then Harry and Meghan started that tour across Australia and New Zealand, and Harry had begged David to come out because he was talking about getting David more involved as an ambassador for the Invictus Games, and David would have been fantastic, and he went. Not only did he go, he arranged for Victoria and their children to go with them to have a bit of a holiday in Australia so he could attend the Invictus Games. And Harry didn't speak to him, didn't see him. David Beckham was apparently furious, and Harry was just stuck with Meghan. She didn't let Harry go anywhere near David for that time. If you look at the photographs going back to the Invictus, because she didn't want the limelight being taken away from her pregnancy announcement, and the royal tour. So I believe this is why David Beckham, when Harry even turned up to that, the Miami, he runs the football team, doesn't he, in America now?
Yeah. And I don't know the name of the team, but yeah.
I know, I'm just trying to think. I know it's something Miami. But yes, Harry was there and David Beckham refused to go anywhere near him. And you saw David Beckham's son, Beckham, and his wife, Nicola, so you remembered all these names now, they saw Harry walk past with security and they just completely turned the other way. Because they are a very close-knit family. And at the end of the day, Harry allowed Meghan to publicly trash their mother, Victoria Beckham. Brooklyn, as much as people were mean about him, that's his mother. He's got nothing to talk to Harry about, and nor does David. And I love that. I love the fact that David.
Taz, that's so juicy.
Yeah,
that's so juicy. I didn't know any about that. I didn't know about that, about the Australia trip. I can understand why they just don't like the guy now. Yeah. Oh. And also, this is juicy. I wanted to ask you about Katy Perry supposedly going to Lily's 3rd birthday party. And it's funny because Katy Perry's actually been photographed somewhere else.
Oh,
she's been, on a balcony.
Yeah, she was in She was in Cannes. They had the big film festival, didn't they? She was over there performing, doing private performances, and we did see a very leggy Katy Perry slinging her leg over the balcony in Katy Perry style.
Oh, so that was at a different time. So she might have gone to Lily's.
She might have gone, but then the following day, the real queen of Montecito, the real queen of being a mummy influencer, Gwyneth Paltrow, was actually spotted out and about with their children, and including Katy Perry's 3-year-old daughter, Daisy Dove, out in, I think they were in Montecito together with her mother, Blythe Danner, the actress. So not Katy Perry's mother, Gwyneth's mother. So
yeah.
If they were going to be anywhere, especially the fact that Katie's daughter is the same age as apparently Lily is, refused to call her Lilibet. I'm sorry, they were obviously other places. So
well, I noticed that Hello Magazine were desperate because they did this full spread on Lily's birthday. And I was quite excited because I thought, oh, wow, we'll get to see her and they'll release a photo and it'll be just amazing. But it was the same photo that they had at Frogmore Cottage, if indeed. Did you hear that there's been some challenge to that photo? Yeah, Misan Harriman was supposed to have taken that first birthday photo, but now there's been a challenge, and I'm hoping that the AFP fact checkers will actually look into this for me. But there's been a bit of a challenge suggesting that might have been AI generated.
Well, that
I'm sure it isn't. I'm sure it isn't. I'm sure it's just a rumour. Yeah,
we have to be careful with these AI apps. They do exist, and you will find that there's lots of photographs that they say are completely AI. So for those, I would personally only get professional opinions of people that have dissected photographs, which is a sore subject for Misan Harriman, because everybody knows that.
I'd like to interject a disclaimer now, Taz, that Misan, we know you took the first birthday shot. We're not suggesting it was just a joke.
Oh, of course.
It was just a joke. Do you think that'll make him feel better? Because I don't want Misan Harriman on me.
Oh, no. He's too busy going after Nancy Sidley of Twitter. So, I mean, seriously, absolutely unbelievable. He's as sensitive, obviously, to criticism as Meghan is. But I was going off tangent then because there's been so much to do with Misan. He's becoming a celebrity in his own right, obviously, with hanging around with Harry and Meghan. And I'm not too sure if that's not intentional, because if you notice a lot of the photographs that came from Nigeria, rather than him being the photographer in the background, he's in most of the shots with the couple. But when it comes to Lily... We've only ever seen Lily one photograph of her head on, which is that photograph. And I happen to think that she looks remarkably like Thomas Markle, which makes me laugh because I find that a divine bit of karma for Meghan. She's got the Markle nose. But the rest of the shots, we just had a couple of back of the head shots. There was a photo that was circulated. There were several when they appeared at the 4th of July parade last year.
Yes. And she was in Harry's arms then, wasn't she?
But again, I think that was staged because they were with this really big guy. And I say big, I'm not being mean. He was massive. He was the size of like 3 fridges packed together. He was a big guy. And he was obviously there with them as a friend. And he could have stood at the side of Harry and potentially blocked half of the crowd. But I mean, he could have stood in front of Harry. Harry deliberately stood the other side of him, walking with his child, knowing that the photographer was in those bushes. So again, this whole security thing, the drama that they do protecting the children, he wanted those photographs to be taken that day of him carrying Lily. It was all set up. Everything they do is always contrived. And a lot of the photographs are taken.
Was that back grid? Was that back grid?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Because if it was back grid, then that's very telling.
Well, they're the main photo agency that she uses. Whilst they have got a couple of photographers that do work for them, you can take a photograph and sell your photograph to Backgrid. So Backgrid's not necessarily the set photographer that she's using. It's just who they choose. So my understanding is Backgrid are probably the ones that pay her the most for her photographs, and that's why they always get submitted. We will probably find out that her friends are responsible for taking some of these photographs. And then they sell it to Backgrid. Got no idea a lot of the time where the sources come from. So but every shot they do is deliberate that we see.
I'm fascinated with all the connections with Misan Harriman. Not only that, not only the pictures of the kids and the pictures of the pregnant Meghan and Harry, a la Notting Hill and, all that sort of thing. Just the fact that he took a portrait of Ngozi Fulani and they knew each other and, no one's denying that. And, it's just all seems to be just, a few degrees of separation between all the main characters.
It's a spider web, and it always has been since Meghan's come on the scene. There's so many people that you can track back from Omid Scobie suddenly being on the scene and being credited as a royal reporter. Misan Harriman, I think he actually started his career in 2016 as a photographer. Now, he actually mixed in the same social circles. I'd imagine that he got involved due to the Soho House connections, because he's actually taken photographs of Cressida, Harry's former girlfriend. He took the engagement photographs of Princess Beatrice and Edo.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
once he got in with that particular crowd, it could have been through Princess Eugenie, who was also friendly, but it all seems to link with Soho House, Marcus Anderson, how this whole thing formulated. All of the connections are there, and everything always goes back to Soho House. But
Yes,
yes,
and even earlier than, well, Soho House, but also 2014 when she did the Teague thing, and she was, you know, Shira, warrior princess. Yeah, well, Misan Harriman actually introduced her to the princess that she spoke about in that article, because that was her excuse for sort of writing the article in the first place, just so she could have a go at Catherine. I mean, but the setup of that was being introduced to another princess that Misan knew. And that was, so they knew each other way back then, even at the start of the Teague.
So she knew Misan from Tig days then?
Yeah, she mentions that Misan Harriman, her good friend Misan Harriman, introduced her to this princess, which, sorry, I've forgotten her name. Oh, wow. And she went to an American university and everything because she was fleeing a country where, you know, the royal family had to flee. Yeah. But yes, he's definitely mentioned as the contact for that princess. And then from then she had to go at Catherine. And so it makes you wonder how far back this web goes.
I will say Soho House. It all goes back to then. I would even say that connection. Soho House is where Meghan got all of her connections. She buttered up Jessica Mulroney. She got in with the Canadian political set. And it is just literally like, when you break it all down, it's like watching a spider, a black widow, weave her web. And in the middle of this web, wrapped up, snug as a little bug, is Harry. And all of the connections, it's always been, because it was Misha Nunu. She met her through Marcus Anderson, Soho House. Misha Nunu, obviously friends with Princess Eugenie, with Cressida, and so on. You can just literally, it all goes back to networking. And Meghan is, if anything, one of the most unbelievable and efficient networkers you've ever seen in your life. Who else could get away with using a taxpayer-funded multi-million-pound royal wedding as nothing more than a celebrity networking event to arrange deals for knowing when they were going to do Megxit? Because it was always the plan, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But I don't know that she really got away with it, because that's when everyone really soured on her. When they were looking at the wedding guests and they were going, hang on, this is weird, you know. Yeah, there's only Hollywood types here.
Started to open their eyes then, going, well, this doesn't quite seem right. And then when the story came out that she had kept her lawyer, her business manager, basically all of these people that were running her career over in Canada and setting up all these businesses, and she kept them. She refused to. And then she refused to ship over her clothes and her furniture from Canada. So that was another story that ran. She never shipped over her clothes. Meghan never had any intentions of staying part of the royal family. And in fact, you talk about Lily's birthday photo shoot that was apparently in Frogmore. Lots of eagle-eyed spotters, and this is why I love Twitter and I love X, because people are amazing sleuths. And there was this black and white striped photograph, and that black and white striped photograph. So in the photograph, black and white striped sofa that Archie's on, and then they're getting onto the table, and Misan has the photographs with his wife and his daughters, and you see this couch. Well, that couch actually is Meghan's couch in Canada. So if you're telling me that Meghan didn't ship her furniture and her clothes over, that was actually reported in newspapers, I'm not making that up, how did that couch make its way to Frogmore Cottage? So I do not believe that those photographs, whilst I do believe that was a photograph of, you know, of Lily, I do not believe it's in Frogmore. I do not believe that the Queen ever met that little girl. And I think a lot of it is just smoke and mirrors. And the fact that they got sources to go to People magazine to talk about their daughter's birthday, yet not a single, not even the back of the head shot, not a photograph of her little foot, you know, her little hand holding a flower, absolutely nothing. So they've gone even further back than what they did with Archie. You know, at least they used to get Archie holding balloons and stuff. So those children are being very, very well hidden. It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's very strange. It's very, very strange. And I think probably if Meghan's doing it deliberately, she would get off on the intrigue. You know, she would just think that
Oh,
was
yeah.
fascinating. Oh, one thing I noticed about D-Day was actually Justin Trudeau was sitting behind William. He was one row behind, and he kept trying to catch William's eye, and William wasn't having any of it.
Oh, really? Oh, I have to go.
Yeah. But it was just a little thing I noticed. But I just wonder whether Justin Trudeau and other people maybe feel like they backed the wrong horse, you know, that they sort of affiliated themselves with Harry and Meghan pretty early on in the piece. And it's not really going to stand them in very good stead now, is it?
No, I mean, I honestly think that Meghan was and is still incredible at pulling the wool over people's eyes. I think most people that when they meet her, if they're of some use to her, they cannot believe how lovely and sweet she is. She sends them baskets full of lemons and jam and all sorts. She knows how to completely...
And dead flowers.
She love bombs people. And for someone like Trudeau, I can only imagine the love bombing. And she is a beautiful woman. Her personality, probably not so much, but she is a beautiful woman. And she just has this way of fluttering the eyelashes. She can wrap men around their fingers. And you'll see majority of people that have, I think, like Trudeau, fallen for that sort of trap. They're men.
Yeah.
Very few women.
True.
Very few women. Because
I wonder though, because Justin Trudeau is really good friends with the Mulroneys, and she has seemed to have dropped Jessica Mulroney.
Oh,
so you know, maybe that, you know, Justin's thinking, "Hey, William, we've got some dirt."
Well, it was Sophie Trudeau, wasn't it? Did you see recently? Sophie Trudeau, they've broken up now, Justin and Sophie. She was featured on Meghan's podcast, Archetypes. And Meghan did this really sickly, sweet story about how close they were. They were like sisters. They got together drinking as the children played in the swimming pool on inflatable pizza slices. I wish I didn't have this stuff in my head, Shauna. I really wish I didn't, but it's imprinted because that's what Archetypes did. It was like mental scarring. But she did this big old spiel about how sick and sweet they were and how she gave her mantras throughout pregnancy. Well, Sophie Trudeau recently said, "I don't know her. I met her once." That sort of attitude. So whether that was Sophie, because we had seen photographs of them in Soho House together years ago, maybe that was her picking Jessica's side, because they are obviously close because of that.
Yes. So, maybe.
So,
do you feel like this is all building up to a bit of a crescendo? I don't know whether I'm imagining it and wishing it to happen, but I just feel like something's building and something's going to give, something's going to happen. Do you get that feeling?
Yes, it's been continuous drama since the day that we had photographs taken of Meghan walking up and down outside Kensington Palace with her Save the Children poverty bag. And ever since then, it has just been continuous. This is why people love Meghan. People love to hate Meghan. It is just one continuous dramatic storyline. She is a walking reality TV show. Many people have nicknamed her, Carry On Duchess. It's like a Carry On film. Because it's one disaster from the next. You cannot believe the way that she goes from one to another. It seems like weeks ago that they staged that ridiculous car chase around New York. Unbelievable. And now we've got her going to a country dressed like I am now. I wouldn't go to a predominantly Muslim country, and especially not in any sort of official role, or go to a school wearing a backless dress and exposing my shoulders and a bit of cleavage. I just wouldn't do it out of respect for the country that I'm visiting. Meghan thrives on the drama. So when basically I think that what is happening now, people are losing interest. People are not interested in her jams. RO people are not interested in. People are not going to be interested in her cooking show. It's going to come a point where the biggest way that she can create drama, get herself back on the talk show host couches, is going to be divorcing or separating from Harry. So I do believe it is beginning to build up. I believe that's why the Nigeria tour happened. It was about building Meghan's profile. It's all been about Meghan building her profile, and Harry is little more than a footman. He's a handbag holder. He's there to pick up the ends of her dresses so it doesn't traipse in mud. That's what has been resorted to now. And I don't feel sympathy for him. He made his bed, he can lay in it. But I do, I'm with you, Shauna. I think that it is beginning to boil up. I think they're beginning to feel the
Yeah.
heat. I obviously don't think, I've said to you before, I'm not so sure that they're even together anymore. I wouldn't be shocked at all that they're actually separated and they just come together
Yeah.
for defense. But yes,
Yeah.
something seems to definitely be brewing. But
Oh, well,
will
we can only hope. We've got to watch this space.
Exactly.
If anything happens, I'll get you back on and we can talk about it. Thanks a lot for joining me tonight, Taz. It was just so much fun. I just love talking to you. I could talk for another 5 hours.
Oh, definitely. But we've all got things to do. You've got to go to bed. I've got to film a video.
Well, thank you, gorgeous. I really appreciate it. It was heaps of fun. See you again
definitely.
soon.
I will see you soon, Shauna. Take care.
Okay. Bye.